Hi, how's it going, guys? Welcome to the Basic Blues channel. Here talking some Penn State football. Day before the Rutgers game, I was just thinking about next season and how we can potentially make our team better. And, I highly doubt they're going to go out and try and find some transfer. I think they're going to stick with Clifford. But I think it might be smart to try and at least look at the transfer portal and see if you can find somebody that maybe you want over Sean Clifford. For example, as you see on your screen now, Dustin Crum, quarterback for Kent State. He's done very well at his time at Kent State, and I think that if he gets to play with some talented guys, better O line, maybe in the Big Ten, he'll be able to do well too. I don't know. I mean, obviously he'll be going up against better defenses, but I think that he's a guy that needs to at least have a shot, maybe at a bigger program. And then you have a guy like Mackenzie Milton, who is a quarterback that got injured. He almost got a career-ending injury. He's come back now. He's done. He's not starting for Central Florida. Obviously from what he did before his injury, he was very good. But then it's just a question of, okay, so how much does he have left in him after his injury? And so I think he's an interesting guy to look at. He's entered the transfer portal. So I think that if they want to look at him and say, okay, if we think that he can be a guy that can come in and be about as good as he was for his injury, then they should definitely snatch him up. But I think he's a very big question mark, so I don't know. And then you have a few other guys like Desmond Riddler, who's a Ritter. He's a quarterback for Cincinnati. Cincinnati's having a great season this season. So I don't know if he would even be interested in leaving anyways because they're a top 10 team right now. But if he is interested in leaving and maybe doing it at a bigger program, I think Penn State should definitely go and see if he's interested. If he by any means enters the transfer portal, which I'd actually kind of be a little bit surprised if he does, because like I said, he's doing pretty well on a good team right now, anyways. So it's not like he's on a bad team. But yeah, I think that overall they're going to stick with Clifford because Clifford will be heading into his third year as a starter next year, basically. And we'll just have to see. I feel like Clifford hasn't really improved much from what he was last year. At first, it looked like he even kind of took a step back, and then against Michigan, he kind of looked better. He didn't turn the ball over. He's made some plays when he's had to, like against Indiana in the second half. He did very well. Um, you can't really blame it on him on that loss, or at least in the second half. But yeah, it's just an interesting quarterback situation. You got Will Levis, who is a capable backup, but I don't think he should be your starter. And then you got some young guys behind him, Taquan Roberson, who's a four-star, hasn't really seen the field much. The only time he has been on the field was last year against Rutgers in a blowout, so he has like almost no experience in real game action. And then we have a four-star coming in next year as well, a quarterback who is pretty talented, but he's not probably a guy that's going to be able right away to be starting in the Big Ten. He's going to have to develop a few years. So I think that Clifford's probably the best option, without a doubt, on this team based off of his past experience and probably even we can take the experience part out of it. He's just probably the better quarterback overall. Um, but if there's somebody we can find in the transfer market that we think that can actually be um, very good for us next year and even better than Clifford, they should without a doubt take him and at least have a quarterback competition because I feel like Clifford maybe didn't work as hard going into this season. Maybe he did. I don't know, but it's just he he probably figured that he had the spot this year where the year before it was his right before his first season. He was probably more nervous. Um, he was sort of competing with Levis. Most people thought Clifford was going to win anyways, but um, I think that maybe Clifford wasn't as motivated heading into this season because he kind of already established himself as a good, solid QB. He's maybe not a star, but and I hope
They
that he is very motivated going into next year, trying to prove that Penn State's a good program again, and making himself known nationally as a good quarterback because he's kind of been made fun of nationally, even though he's done some good things this year. It's just that he's also done some very bad things, and he's looked very lost at times, and that's kind of what I think most people have been frustrated with, is because it just seems like that kind of stuff should have been taken away after last year, and it's just hasn't really seemed to have eluded him in his second season, and so I think that overall we're just going to have to make sure that whatever the quarterback option is that there's some good chemistry between him, the receivers, the O line. They be able to gel together. Kirk Shiraka needs to make sure that whatever he did in Minnesota with Tanner Morgan, hopefully he can do with Sean Clifford because I haven't seen that so far. But it's hard to judge new coaches this year because they haven't even had as much time as they normally would. Like for example, Shiraka would have had a full off season where he could have done in person work. Um, there would never have been the drama of whether there would be a season or not. There would have never been, any of that where you look at the development of the offense, and normally in a normal season too, even with a normal off season, then you get a few cupcake games to begin, or at least maybe not cupcake, but like you don't have Indiana, Ohio State to start your season, and where you look at for us, we had two top 15 teams in the country play us right away against an offense that really hasn't had much time at all, especially in person work to work together. And I mean, they had a bunch of virtual work, but that's not nearly as good. Um, so I think that at the end of the day, it's like I said, if they can go find a quarterback that they like on the transfer market, maybe push Clifford a little bit, even if he's not as good as Clifford, he's close to the same level. And I think that next year can be pretty good. When you look at the freshmen making some good plays, they'll be coming back. Noah Kane coming back next year will be good. Um, the defense, I think, will return mostly everybody with this extra year of eligibility. I think most people should be coming back. Now, granted, other teams across the country will have people coming back that normally wouldn't have come back probably either. But um, it's just a matter of how well over this off season they work and how well they're able to become what we think they can be. All right, well, thank you guys. We are Penn State.